Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today the story goes on because I will introduce you a gentleman who purchased a house, a premium house in Mussomeli, Sicily for 15,000 euros. Let's hear his story. So can you please tell us a few things about yourself? Because I have heard you have bought a house in Sicily, in Mussomeli, and we are very thrilled to know how it happened and your story.
So it's an interesting story. So originally I studied law and I went to New York and I was there for a few years, and then I went to take the exam to be a lawyer for the state of New York, and I got 63%, and I needed 66 to pass. So I came back to Ireland, and then COVID broke out. So for about 2 years, I couldn't travel back to America to take the exam again. And in that time, my father's health went downhill. So at one point, he couldn't sit out of a chair without help. So I said I would stay close to home to help out my dad. And as well as that, there was a requirement to go back to America. You had to take the vaccine for COVID, and I didn't want to take it. So I thought to myself, well, I think America might be closed. So I started thinking of a different profession. And at the time, I had been saving up for a house, to buy a house, and I've been researching different ways of buying a house, and what was the cheapest and what was the best. And I saved up a fair bit of money, about 20,000 euros. But in that time with COVID, the price of houses went up by over 20,000 euros. So I was like back at square one, and I felt like I was chasing the wind. So I started looking into the €1 houses in Italy. I'd come across a suggestion about it like a few years beforehand, but I kind of dismissed it because I wanted to build something or buy something closer to home. But I looked at it again, and I thought it was too good to be true. So I started researching it more, and there was one guy in particular who helped to change my mind about it. He's a guy called Carl Pierre, and he's an entrepreneur from New York. And he did a great video where he just went over there and showed what it's like. He bought his houses and he told his story, and it really kind of demystified it for me, and it really made it seem real and doable. So he went to Mussomeli, a town called Mussomeli, and I was researching a few different towns, but I kept coming back to Mussomeli. It's quiet, it's in the countryside, but it's not completely, as you say in Ireland, the sticks. You know, it's not the middle of nowhere. You have a beautiful castle that's, I think, about 1,000 years old. And you've got these olive groves, and you've got these houses. I think the houses there are somewhere 400 years old. So you've got the best of the old world, but you also have a Lidl, and you've Wi-Fi, and you have a car rental, and you've got the modern amenities. So it's not too awkward, but it still has that old world Sicilian charm. So he made me realize that Mussomeli was obtainable, it was doable. And then I started researching Mussomeli a bit more, and the more I researched it, the more I liked it. It was quiet, it was safe, it was cheap, the people were friendly, they looked out for each other. So then I started thinking more seriously about it, and I downloaded an app called Idealista. And it's the Italian app for buying or renting property in Italy. So I was skimming through that for weeks, and then I spotted a house I liked. And then I contacted some people in Mussomeli, and I asked a certain person, Ekaterina Hikanova, could she take a look at it for me? So I thought this was a great house. and she went and she looked at it for me, and anyway, turns out it had a hole in the roof, and the water was coming down from one floor to the next floor. It was making a hole in the floor and going down to the next floor, and she had me dodge a bullet there. She told me she gave me insights that I couldn't have known by myself.
Okay.
So, second?
Yeah, just go on.
Oh, sorry. So anyway, she helped me check out that property, and she said, "You don't want to buy that property. Okay. That's not a good property to buy." And I've been looking at properties for months, and this one kept on coming back to me. So anyway, I was very glad I contacted her, and she said, "There's another property, which I think is better. Would you like to see it?" So I said, "Okay, yeah, we'll see it." So anyway, she took me there. She went there, and she called me on video, and she showed me around, and it was actually much better. It was much better, and it hardly needed anything. Most of the...
And there is no water leakage.
No, not like the last one. There is a bit of leakage.
Okay.
But nothing like the last one.
Okay.
And the house, I think I sent you a clip of the house. You saw it just before I bought it, and it's in very good condition.
Yeah.
So she really helped me there, and this house was 20,000. It was about the same price as the last house I was looking at, and just before I decided to buy it, it dropped another 5,000, so it went down to 15,000.
That's a good deal.
So I got very lucky.
That's a good deal.
And then I was tossing and turning and thinking, oh, will I buy it? I'm buying a house in the country I've never been to, with through the advice of someone I've never met. And after a while, I said, no, I'm gonna do it. So then they sent me a contract, a purchase agreement, where I paid a deposit of €1,000. So then it was locked in. Nobody else could buy it. And if I backed out of the contract, I lost €1,000. And if the seller backed out of the contract, they'd pay me double that. They'd pay me €2,000. So I signed that, and then I went out to Mussomeli. I'd never actually been to Mussomeli before I signed the contract to sell the home. I just did it because of the trust and the confidence I put into people I was communicating with. So I went out to Mussomeli, and it actually exceeded my expectations. Mussomeli looks lovely in pictures and videos.
Just let me stop you. Let me stop you for a second, because
yes, do. Sorry.
Mussomeli. Why Mussomeli?
Why Mussomeli?
Yes.
Okay, Mussomeli. I would say because it had a mixture of the old and the new.
Yes.
It had the old world Sicilian charm, but it also had Wi-Fi and lean. And things like that, hardware stores, and it had some modernity to it, but still lots of the old world. But also, I've been researching it, and one of the things that jumped out at me was the people. There just seems to be a great sense of community in Mussomeli.
Yes.
Not all the Italian towns or Sicilian towns had that, but Mussomeli definitely had something special to it. And also, I'm a traditional Catholic, and there's a lot of Catholic history in the town of Mussomeli. Like, you walk through the streets, and there's like little grottos on every street corner. Outside people's homes, they have little statues of Saint Joseph.
True. And
Padre Pio and the Holy Family, and lots of saints. And then they've got a church there. My house is just next to it, actually. It's called Madonna di Miracoli. Madonna,
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I see the videos and the pictures that you sent me, and I was like, okay, so I just walked on the street.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful church, and it's the church that everyone wants to get married in. So
okay.
when people from Mussomeli get married, they always want to get married in that church.
Okay.
And just the last time I was there was a wedding there, and it was always wonderful. They're getting married, and then as they're coming out, they're playing "Here Comes the Bride," and then the bells started ringing, and it was just magnificent. And the church itself is stunning.
Yes.
So I liked the Catholic history in Mussomeli as well, and the people there still have a bit of Catholic faith, and it's a very safe place. My friend who lives out there, Laura Minton from the Amateurs Abroad, who I'd recommend anyone who's interested in a house in Mussomeli or is interested in Mussomeli or buying a house there should follow her. She's the Amateurs Abroad. But she told me it's like America in the 1950s, but without the racism. She said it's very safe, it's very friendly, hardly next to no crime, and just a very, very nice, pleasant place with good people. So that kind of sealed the deal for me for Mussomeli. That's why I chose it over somewhere like Camerata. They were doing the €1 houses as well, and there's another place, Sutera, nearby. I can see it out my window, which is nice, but it's also Sutera. It's like a one-horse town. It's dead. It's you'd have to drive 20 miles to get to a supermarket, or 20 kilometers to get to a supermarket.
Compared to Mussomeli, it's like
I don't think it's that quiet,
Yeah. But compared to Mussomeli, yes, there are some like dead cities or dead towns, actually.
Yeah.
And I remember that you said you talked about the castle, and when you drive to the castle, the Lidl is on the left side. I can remember that.
That's right.
And not far from that, new houses, new buildings, they're just growing out. So it's like the town is just growing since then.
Yeah.
Really, really fast. And the people were asking me about the construction companies, and close to the Lidl there are many yards, like construction company yards. You can buy the material for building.
Yeah, it's coming back to life. Mussomeli is coming back to life.
Exactly.
And a lot of people from all over the world, from Russia, England, America, Australia, Germany, they're all coming to Mussomeli, and they love it. They love it. They've fallen in love with the place, and if you go there, you'd understand. It's kind of hard to explain if you haven't been there, but it does have this gentle charm to it, Sicily, and especially Mussomeli. It's the beauty of the streets. The food is fresh and delicious and healthy. The people are friendly. Everybody's laid back and chilled out. And everything is so affordable. Houses are affordable. Food is affordable. Like in Ireland at the moment, a coffee costs close to €3 or €4. Mussomeli, you can get it for 50 cents.
Yes, it's like ridiculously lowest price.
Ridiculously low.
I just showed my friends the receipt that we have spent in the restaurant, and they couldn't believe it. I spent 19.50 euros for dinner for for 4 of us, and it was like so.
And it's a nice dinner too, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And you said that the no crime. How safe is Mussomeli?
It's very safe. I remember when I bought the house, myself, Laura Minton and Ekaterina, we went to celebrate, and we went to a cafe and we got a bit of food, and we were going to take a picture, and they left their bags at their table while we took the picture, and they said they told me you don't need to worry about anyone taking your bags here. And she said that they could even go outside and take the picture outside the restaurant. They could leave their bags there, and
there is no such a thing.
And they told me this funny story as well, that there was a car somebody had parked their car and was blocking the road.
Okay.
And cars couldn't get by. And they'd actually left their keys in the ignition.
Okay.
So somebody got out of their car, they got into the car that was blocking the road.
And they just
turned on the engine.
Okay.
They drove it a little bit and parked it. Turned off the engine, left the keys in the ignition, got back into their car and drove past. And that's what Mussomeli is like.
Now talk about Ireland.
Yeah, and I just tell you a story just to tell you how friendly the people in Mussomeli are. I met a guy called Francesco. I went into the beautiful church just next to my house.
Okay.
And they could tell I was a foreigner, and they started chatting to me, and there was a guy there called Francesco who spoke English. And he's very friendly, and he invited me around to his house for dinner. But another guy who was at his house after dinner as well was a guy he met in Mussomeli, and the story of how they met is just so Mussomeli. It's so small town Sicily. But anyway, there was another guy there after dinner. He's actually a movie director.
Okay.
He won an award in the New York Film Festival. He's not like a Hollywood director like Spielberg or any of these people, but very, very competent movie director. And he's had movies and film festivals. But anyway, he was at the dinner, and how him and Francesco met was they were walking down the road. They were walking on the footpath.
Okay.
And there was only room for one person to pass on the footpath. So I think Francesco stepped on the road and said, "Oh, you go by." And then this movie director said, "Oh, no, he stepped on the road." He said, "Oh, no, you go by." Anyway, they had a little kind of friendly argument about it. They became friends, and Francesco invited him to his house for dinner.
Okay.
But that's the way people are in Mussomeli. They're so friendly and kind that, you know, they'll make friends with the person who's having a friendly argument with them about who should go first on the footpath.
Wow, that's very kind of them.
Mm-hmm.
There is no such a thing here all over in Europe. I don't think so. Only
way.
In Italy, I think.
No way, not in Ireland anyway.
So you are very impressed about the city and the people.
Very impressed, yeah. And it's very easy to make friends out there. Everyone's very friendly, and everyone's interested in building connections and building friendships.
Okay.
And everyone kind of looks out for each other. They help each other out. And I've gotten so many offers from people to help, or would I like this couch, or would I like this bed, or just lots of people looking out for each other in a genuine way as well. Okay. It's very just natural and spontaneous. They're not trying to get anything out of you. They're genuinely friendly. You know, I'm not sure if you've ever been to like you probably went to Starbucks when you lived in Brooklyn, but you know, in Starbucks, like they ask you your name and they tell you have a nice day, but they don't really care how your day is. You know? It's all very
exactly, but
it's all very stimulated, you know.
Just please stop because I'm going to cry soon. I'm missing those kind of people actually.
Oh, I bet you are. Yeah, I bet you're yearning to be back.
Yeah, exactly.
At the local Starbucks. But in Sicily, they genuinely do care, and they genuinely are interested in getting to know you and helping you if they can. And that's part of the charm of Mussomeli, is you can make friends very easily, and you can get help and support for things very easily. People are very obliging, and they're very welcoming of foreigners as well. They're pretty chilled out about so many people coming in into their town. And as well, I think the people who do, my experience anyway, the people who are moving into Mussomeli are pretty decent people.
Yes.
You know, they're hard-working people who want to retire, who want to get away from the hustle and bustle, and they want a quieter, more laid-back life, and they want a more cultured lifestyle, and they want to enjoy the best of European culture and food and things like that. And they're usually hard-working, intelligent people, and there's a great synergy. There's a very good synergy between the people who are moving to Mussomeli and the locals. And the locals, well, they're very pleased because business has gone up, I think, something like 2,000% in some of the restaurants and cafes.
Yeah.
Their business has just shot through the roof. So it's been a lifesaver for them as well.
Exactly. Also the prices, the property prices also went up.
Yeah. Actually, I was just talking to my real estate agent. I bumped into him the last time I was in Mussomeli. Okay. We bumped into each other. I was going into the cafe. I was going out of the cafe, and he was just about to sit down for a coffee.
Yeah.
So anyway, we sat down and we had a little chat. But he told me that my house, even since I bought it in March, but he said it's gone up in value even since then. If I was to sell it now, it would be worth 25% more than what I
that's
paid for
a lot.
it. So people are beginning to catch on, and it's getting very popular.
That's a lot.
Yeah. No, don't worry. There's still plenty of houses. And there's more coming on market all the time.
Yes.
There's no shortage of houses there.
Yeah, I can say the same thing. But you bought the more expensive house, and how about the €1 houses? Why didn't you go for the €1 house?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was looking at the €1 houses, and it sounds great, €1, but there's a few hidden costs. So when you buy the €1, you usually have to put down a deposit of about 5,000, and you also have to restore the front of the house within 3 years, I believe.
Yes, exactly.
And with the €1 house, I was talking to my friend, my project manager, Ekaterina, and she said like minimum that you will renovate a house for is 30,000.
Yeah, is it?
So you're looking at, by the time you get it to a nice livable condition,
yes,
minimum 30,000.
Wow, plus the cost.
Yeah, and that's if you have an honest builder. That's if you have a builder who doesn't say, "Oh, I've discovered something else now. That's actually another 5,000," and
yes,
"Oh, I've discovered something else," and it's another 10,000. Because there's the odd horror story, about people who buy a house and then the renovations rack up to 100,000 or so. But for the €1 houses, I thought it was a bit sticky, a bit messy. Wasn't really what I was looking for. I was looking for more a kind of one and done, more of a kind of a cleaner, smoother transition. And I work in the construction sector, so I've been learning a bit about renovations, and I worked with a handyman, and he was renovating the house. I learned a bit from that, and I learned to tile as well. So I was looking more for a house that didn't have anything seriously wrong with it, like any structural things, but needed a bit of paint and a bit of plaster and maybe a bit of tiles. So I would actually recommend 2 people to actually go for a premium house rather than a €1 house, because you'll get into it quicker.
Yes.
You'll probably, good chance, unless you're a handyman, unless you're competent in construction and the trades and plastering and plumbing, and if you know how to wire a house and you know how to fix a roof and all that, if that's the case, go for the €1 house. But if you're not, I would recommend the premium house, and I would recommend getting one that is as close to livable as possible. And the things to kind of look out for are houses where all you really need to do is just a bit of touch up. You might have some plaster. It gets very hot in the summer, and there can be humidity, so plaster crumbles off the wall. You'll probably see in some of the houses you visited, some of the walls are in bad shape. But a lot of that can be fixed in 1 or 2 days by a good plasterer. It looks terrible when you come into the house, but it's not a big deal. It's not like the thing you need to be very careful of is where the walls aren't straight, where the walls are buckling. That's a big problem, and that will cost a lot. And the roofs as well. If you have problems with the roof, that can be a problem. Water damage.
Yes.
But if there's just a house there, and the wall, the plaster is crumbling, the wallpaper is peeling off,
mm-hmm.
but the structure and the pipes and the electrics are okay, go with that. That's the best thing to do. You'll save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money. And ideally go for a house that you think you can finish off yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll save a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of stress. Because one of the kind of the downsides of Sicily is the language barrier.
Okay.
So
yes,
if somebody's going to Sicily and they're thinking of buying houses, I would definitely recommend them to start learning Italian.
Yes.
Because there's people there who speak English, but not everyone. And the people who do speak English, they probably can't talk about negotiating
mm-hmm.
construction contracts with their English.
I think the younger generation speak English.
There's a lot of American music on the radio.
Exactly. And gaming and so on. So they pick up English very fast.
Yeah. So I'd recommend learning English if you are going to go out there. And I'm hoping in the future, I did some renovations on my place.
Okay.
I sent some pictures of the before and after with the walls. But at some point I'm hoping when I am back in Mussomeli to have a little workshop for people. They can come around to my place and I'll show them how to do what I did with my place. Because a lot of it is pretty straightforward. It's just a
mm-hmm.
bit of elbow grease and knowing which product to use and how to do it. And it's within the grasp of most people to be able to do a lot of the renovations for themselves. So that's what I'd recommend anyway. The €1 houses, I wouldn't recommend them unless you've got those skills, those specific skills to renovate a house. But otherwise, you could be dragging on, and the prices could be going up and up. And like with my house, I tried. No, I didn't try. I decided that I wasn't going to go into any debt with my house
mm-hmm.
or with the renovations. But I know other people are. I was talking to my friend, and she said that she knows someone who's thinking of buying a house with a loan on Revolut. I don't know if you know that app, Revolut, do you?
No.
But it's an app, and you can get loans on it for depending on how much money you have, maybe 12, 15,000, easy enough. But if you're dependent on loans to renovate a €1 house, and then the cost goes up, you have to take on more money and more loans, and it could easily go pear-shaped. So with me, I decided that I'm not going to take out any loans to buy it, and I'm not going to take out any loans to renovate it. I'm going to renovate it all myself, or for the bits I can't do, I'm going to get mm-hmm. some people in to do it. So that's why I decided to not go with the €1, but to go with mm-hmm. the premium. And that seems to be the common experience of other people I've talked to, that the premium homes seems to be the better, safer option to go. Even though the €1 sounds very attractive, get a house for the price of a coffee, less than the price of a coffee here in Ireland or America. But there's a lot of things to iron out before you can actually, live in it.
And the 3 years, are going to pass by really fast. Also your money.
Yeah. And one thing with Sicily as well is you have to realize you're on island time, as they say. So there's no such thing as Sicilian efficiency, like German efficiency. There's no such thing as Sicilian efficiency. So you could be waiting months for tradesmen to arrive. And also there's a lot of people looking for tradesmen. Actually, if there's people watching this and they are tradesmen,
mm-hmm.
and they want to buy a house in Mussomeli and live there, there's plenty of work for tradesmen, for people who tile. Like I can tile, and I've gotten inquiries.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could start working there next week if I wanted and start tiling bathrooms. I don't, but maybe in the future I will. But if you are a tradesman, there's plenty of work out there. But at the moment, there's a lot of people buying, and there's a lot of work to be done, and there's not enough people to do it. So you're going to be waiting. You could be waiting months. Yeah. You could be, if you wanted a full renovation, you could be waiting a year before it's done.
That's a long time. But you know what? Many people are asking about this tradesmanship. If there are companies who actually make renovation, and the people are going to buy houses in city, and they are asking also about the work, if they can get work. And my answer is always that first you need to learn the language.
Yeah.
Because then you are dead. If you don't speak Italian, I would say 99% you are dead.
Yeah, what I would say about that, and what I would recommend, is if you can get a job working remotely.
Yes.
Do. Even if it's not great pay, you don't need much money to survive in Mussomeli. Like in Mussomeli, the rent, you could rent a place in Mussomeli for $100 or $200 a month. Like not a week, a month.
Yes.
Like $200 a month rent. Like where would you get it? No. And a nice house too, a reasonable house. So I say to people about Mussomeli that if you made what is minimum wage in Ireland, in Mussomeli, you could live like a prince.
Yes.
You know, because everything is so low. So what I would recommend for people who are seriously thinking of moving to Mussomeli is to get a job where you work remotely. And even if you don't make a lot of money working remotely, you'll still make more than enough to live a comfortable life out there. But if you decide to fly out there and say, sure, I'll find a job in the local shop or the local restaurant.
No way.
You probably won't, you know. And if you do, you won't make much money there, and you'll have to have Italian. There's no way you'll be able to work in a restaurant in Sicily and not have decent Italian.
Or you can open your own company, construction company.
Open your own business, but you'll still need Italian.
Exactly. But on the other side, if you work for internationals and you speak only English, then it works, I think.
If you work for an international company, is it?
No. If you open your own construction company and you speak only English, and you work for internationals just like you know, people moving to Italy, to Sicily, and they want to get their houses renovated, and you know, they don't speak Italian probably. Most of them don't speak Italian, and it's just easier to understand English. Yeah.
Like if you can speak English, you could probably get a lot of work from the Americans.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of Americans go over there.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. So that would be a good idea if people are seriously thinking of moving to Mussomeli or Sicily. If you have a trade and you get connected with people who speak English, Americans, you'll probably do all right. You'll probably be okay.
Yes, I think so too. And would you like to talk about the financial part of the purchasing? How much you spent on your house and the renovation, and also on all the costs.
Yeah. So I'll give you an outline of it. So the house was 15,000.
Okay.
And then at the closing table, I had to pay 4,000, which was a combination of legal fees for the notary and taxes on property. Now 4,000 is quite high. It's not usually 4,000, but it was 4,000 for me because I'm not going to be a resident there. And to be a resident, you have to stay there for 6 months of the year. So I wasn't going to be there for 6 months of the year. But if I was, the taxes would have been much lower.
Yeah.
Much lower. And then I spent €1,000 for the estate agency fee.
Okay.
So all in all, about 20,000 to get the house. And with the renovations, they've been very cheap because what I did was I went out there with two of my friends, and I basically said, I'll house you in Mussomeli for a week if you come and do some painting.
Yes.
And my friend said he would, so we got most of the house painted in 1 week.
Okay.
The bones have been painted. So what did we do? We cleaned off the mold. We filled the cracks in the plaster. We sanded the plaster, and then we put in an anti-mold primer, and then we did 2 coats of paint. Okay. So that's most of the house done. So that didn't really cost me much except the supplies and the accommodation from my friend. So I would say that cost me maybe €1,000, €1,000. Mm-hmm. And then I went back another time and I did the terrace, where I sent you a video of before and after.
I've seen them.
So yeah, so I did that all myself, so I didn't have to pay any labor, just some more supplies. Mm-hmm. And I'd say all with the supplies and the flight over there, but also I made a little holiday of it, so it wasn't all work. I'd say the supplies for that cost me maybe €200. Oh. And but I do have a little bit to do now. I have to get a kitchen and I have to get furniture, but I reckon all in all, I think I can get it livable in and rentable for between, I'd say, 5,000 to 10,000 altogether.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad.
Depending on the work I get done on it. I'm thinking of putting in a terrace. Now that will be more expensive if I do, and there is a part of the roof I do need to do a little bit of work on, but I haven't got a quote for that. But I also might have somebody who will do that, a friend. I was talking to him today, and I showed him the roof, and I said, "Oh, do you know how to fix that?" And he said, "Oh yeah, you do, blah 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 blah." And I said, "Would you do it? I'll fly you out to Sicily and I'll put you up for a week." He says, "Oh, maybe." I said, "Have a think about it." So if I can get him to go out and do it, that will save me more money again. And I'm actually in talks with someone now. I don't think it probably won't happen this time, but something I would recommend to people who are buying a house in Sicily is, I was talking to somebody recently, and we were going to come to an agreement where they would stay in my house. I rented my house, but as rent, they would renovate it. Okay. So they don't have to pay me anything. Yes. They just have to do a bit of painting. And cleaning and be there when people make deliveries and stuff like that. Okay. And I would recommend, if you can find a trustworthy person who will live in your house and renovate it. And people are very happy to. Like, I was talking to this one lady, and she's very happy to do it. Okay. It was great for her. She saved loads of money on rent, live free in Sicily, and I'm delighted too, because I don't have to fly out to Sicily to paint things or, you know, replace some tiles or something like that. So I would recommend that to people if they can find someone who's willing to do that. Yeah. Who's willing to rent to renovate. And I know my friend has gotten offers as well from people saying, "Oh, I've seen your house online and can I come and stay in it and I'll renovate it for you." But you have to be careful, because then they might not leave. They might squat. They might become squatters in your house. Yeah. So you'll have to be careful who you get. But if you can get someone, I mean, you'll save.
Interesting.
Yeah, save thousands and save yourself trips over there and save yourself a lot of stress. But I reckon, all in all, including the price of it, I reckon it will be ready to live in for maybe around 30,000, 30 to 35,000. Okay, that's
not that bad, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. In Ireland, that's a down payment on a house.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. So you had purchased the house for 15, and you are already around 35. That's not that bad.
Yeah. And it might even be lower. It might be lower than 35. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see how things go.
At the end.
At the end, yeah.
Okay. And what is your plan with the house? Actually.
So I was thinking about that. One of the things that made me think of buying a house in Sicily was I was climbing Croagh Patrick. It's a mountain in Ireland. And we're staying, myself and two of my friends were staying in this cheap B&B. And there was this lady there who was running the B&B, but she was also working remotely.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking about Italy and the €1 houses and all of that. And I said to her, I said, you know, I'm thinking of buying a house in Sicily and renovating it. Do you think people who work remotely would be interested in renting it? And she said, oh yeah, definitely. She says there's a huge community of people who work remotely.
Yes.
And there's a network where they put up these different properties around the world. And people who work remotely travel out to them and they can rent them for cheap. And then they enjoy the local sites and culture and enjoy what the country has to offer. And she said, yeah, you could definitely rent it out to people who work remotely. So that was the original plan. But from talking to other people, I think the best plan is for people who want to move to Sicily, who want to retire to Sicily, especially Americans. It's a lot cheaper to retire in Sicily. It's about a third of what it costs to retire in America. But to get your residency in Sicily, in Italy, because Sicily is part of Italy politically, you have to get residency, and to get residency, you have to have accommodation. You have to have a rental agreement or a lease for at least a year. You have to show with the people you have your rental agreement, and I'll be here for a year. So you can't fly over to stay in an Airbnb and get residency. You have to have long-term accommodation. But the problem with that is in Italy, they don't like to rent short-term. They don't like to rent for a year even. When they lease houses, they like to do it for 3 or 4 years. So I was thinking of catering to the people from America who want to rent for about a year and tick that box for their residency. Because I've heard stories like people are finding it very hard, and even to the point of them saying like, oh, just get what you get. If somebody rents you for a year, just take it. So there is a demand there. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment, that when it is up and running, I'm going to try to cater to those people who are looking for a 1-year lease in Sicily to get their residency. And it's handy as well because when you lease your house, the tenants then, they pay the electricity, they pay the water, they pay all those things. And it's kind of off your hands. Because I was thinking of an Airbnb. An Airbnb is, you know, you make more money with an Airbnb. You gross more money at certain times of the year. Like you'll probably get 40 to 50 euros a night if you ran it as an Airbnb. But then you have to pay your Airbnb fee. You have to pay your taxes.
Electricity.
You have to pay some local person to come along and, you know, change the sheets, the pillowcases, clean the place. So that's probably another tenner off your 40 euros a night. And it's a lot of hassle as well, you know. If it's somebody who's renting for a year, it's more passive, it's more hands off. So that's what I'm thinking of with regards to what I'll do with it. And also in the house, there's a place next door. It's actually where they used to keep the animals like 100 years ago, a little stable. And I can renovate that and I can turn it into like a little studio apartment. So what I'm thinking of is that I could do that and I could just live in a little studio apartment because it's just me. I'm low maintenance, and the tenants could have the rest of the house down to themselves. And then when I come over to Mussomeli, I could have a place to stay. But the long-term plan at the moment with regards to Mussomeli is I hope to buy one house a year and renovate it. So I would only buy one house, and the only house I can pay for in cash. And then spend that year or however long it takes to renovate it, and then the next year do it again. And then after a while you get momentum because you'll get income coming in. And I reckon that if I do that after about maybe 5 years, I could probably retire.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You can retire right away.
That will come in.
That's a good plan.
Yeah. No, I probably wouldn't retire because I don't like to be idle, and it's good to stay active. But it would definitely make my life a lot easier, a lot more comfortable. So that's the plan, and I think it's doable. So we'll give that a go and see what happens.
Nice. I like to hear this idea. Anyway, and did you face any difficulties during the purchasing and renovating and just traveling?
Yes. So there was a few bumps in the road, right? I would say logistically, it's a hard place to get to Mussomeli if you're coming from Ireland. So I flew into Palermo, and I rented a car at Palermo Airport. And in Ireland, we drive on the opposite side of the road to Italy, and the Italian drivers are pretty
crazy.
Pretty crazy, yeah, they're pretty crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's even crazier when you're used to driving on the other side of the road.
Oh.
And I was joking with my friends, like I was saying in Sicily, they'll overtake you at 60 kilometers over the speed limit.
Yes.
So it's really crazy stuff. So logistically, it was a bit nerve-wracking driving to Mussomeli the first time. It's not the most central place to get to. You can fly to Palermo and catch 2 trains and a taxi to get to Mussomeli, or you can rent a car. But renting a car is the best. So that's what I would recommend to people. But just be warned that they're pretty crazy drivers. So logistically, it was a bit tough to get to. What I would say as well to people is I had a little bit of trouble when I was buying it because the Italian government is very kind of strict about where the money comes from to buy your house. Yes. So I just wired it from my app, my banking app.
Okay.
But they needed like a transaction number, and the purchase was held up for a while because on my phone they didn't give me a transaction number. Oh. So if I buy another house, I would put it into another app, maybe Revolut, transfer the money to Revolut, or
otherwise
do PayPal or something like that, where you have a definite paper trail, so to speak.
Okay.
You have a transaction number. So that was a bit of a bump in the road. The other difficulty I would say with renovating is the heat. It's pretty hot in Sicily, and if you're going to be renovating your house, it's going to be physically tough. So to renovate it, the best time to renovate it is not the summer. It is the early in the year, I would say kind of March to May. That's the best time to do your renovations. Let me think, any other bumps in the road? That was about it. No, it was a very smooth operation because I got help from Laura from the Amateurs Abroad Instagram channel, and I got help from Ekaterina. So they were very good. They came to the closing table with me, and they translated things from Italian into English that I didn't understand. And they made it a very smooth, stress-free process. And I'd really recommend anyone who's thinking seriously of doing it, don't do it by yourself.
No,
pay a little money to get some help, because it will really make it a much smoother, less stressful operation. And then just as a 2 other things I think which were kind of bumps in the road or made things a bit difficult was the language barrier, and the other one was siestas. So in Sicily, whether it's the summer or not, everyone goes to bed for like 3 hours, from 1 o'clock to about 4 or 5, and everything's shut down. Like, can't even buy a sandwich, you know.
Yes. If you are hungry.
Except for one place in Mussomeli I discovered that's open during siesta. But I got caught in the hop the first time I went there. I was starving. I was wandering around town for like looking for somewhere to get something to eat.
But you know what? But you know what? Not far from the square there is a vending machine.
That's right. I know the one you're talking about.
Yes.
I couldn't get it. That's kind of your last resort is the vending machine.
Yes, exactly.
Not a great selection.
No. It's just pretzel. I think pretzel, chocolate, like some drink. Pretzel, that's all.
Yeah. It's funny. They have beers in the vending machine.
Exactly. I was gonna say the same thing.
Like 24-hour vending machines with bottles of beer in them.
Yep.
They'd be. You'd never get away with that in Ireland anyway. But the siesta was a big obstacle.
Yeah.
Because all the shops, all the hardware stores, all the paint shops, they all close. And then if you don't have your supplies, you lose an afternoon's worth of work. And let me think that's about it. The language, the siesta, much slower pace. Nobody's in a rush to do anything really. And unfortunately, that's also the case with if you're getting people to renovate your house. You might have to. They say, "Oh yes, I'll do this job for you," and all that. But you might have to like text them 2 or 3 times, say, "Oh, can I get a date for when you're coming over?" Or, when you're going to get round to doing this or that. And sometimes you have to kind of remind them a bit. But those are the main ones. Those are the kind of ones that stand out. But other than that, it's pretty smooth. It was pretty smooth because of the help I got. It was very smooth.
Okay, and would you like to compare Ireland and Sicily?
Oh man. Oh man, there's no comparison really. Well, in Sicily you get 300 days of sunshine a year.
Oh yeah.
And in Ireland, I'd say you get 300 days of rain.
Yes.
A year.
Also here in Denmark.
Yeah, and it's way cheaper.
Yeah.
Sicily is way cheaper. Everything is way cheaper. The houses, the food, cars, and the food as well is much better. It's much healthier. You just feel better as well when you're out there. I found I actually needed less sleep when I was out there. I had more energy.
Yeah.
And the food in Sicily is very good. It's all organic.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's local. It's literally from like 2 miles away in the field, or the goats, the nearby goats, and so the weather is better, the food is healthier.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they use pesticides. I don't think there's fluoride in the water. It's safer. It's friendlier. It's quite insulated in a good way. Like in Ireland at the moment, we've got a big problem with drugs.
Okay.
With the company I'm working for at the moment, we did a first aid course, and we had this first responder come in, and he responds to a lot of heart attacks and people collapsing and all that. But he said about 50% of people in Ireland are taking drugs at this stage.
That's a
50%.
That's a very high.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's moving into harder drugs like cocaine and stuff. A lot of just ordinary people are taking cocaine now in Ireland. But in Mussomeli, you don't have that. Hardly anyone's into drugs. They don't have that drug problem, and it's very safe. Mussomeli, it's another difference between Ireland, and it's more conservative than Ireland, more sort of politically and religiously conservative. And I would say it's a lot more beautiful than Ireland. Like, one of the things that struck me in Sicily was just the beauty. It's like everything's beautiful. It's like the streets are beautiful, the buildings are beautiful, the food is beautiful, the people are beautiful looking.
Can you say one negative? Can you say one negative thing?
Beautiful people inside as well. So.
Can you say one negative thing?
One negative thing about Sicily, is it?
Yes. Can you? No.
The pace of life is too slow. That's
that's not negative.
And crazy drivers.
That's not negative as well at all, because I can take the rhythm. When I was there, actually with my family, I'm not a fast driver because I live in Denmark. Everybody just keep the rules and everything. But when we were there, I was like, okay, so I think I have to go with them because then they're gonna push me to the side. So I just speed up the rhythm, and my wife was like, okay, so just slow down. You don't have to rush. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually started driving a lot faster by the time I left Sicily.
Okay.
I was nearly as bad as them because it was just it was getting ridiculous. Like I'd getting overtaken by like these 60-year-olds and stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, I think when in Rome, do as the Romans. But those are the main differences between Ireland and Sicily. And the scenery is beautiful as well. You've been to Mussomeli, it's like the valley is beautiful, and you've got Sutera, the mountaintop in the distance, and then in the winter as well you get this mist coming down in the valley, and you've got the mountain Sutera popping up at the top. And it's got a much different food culture in Sicily. It's kind of like certain parts of France, the Vendée. It's like in the Vendée in France, like lunch takes 2 hours. People just go home from work and they take 2 hours to make their lunch. In Ireland, like in my job, you get 15 minutes a break, and you drive down to the petrol station, you get a hot chicken roll, and then you speed back, and then later on you get half an hour, and you have your cup of coffee and your sandwich. But in Sicily, like the meals are a big deal. Socially as well, it's a big deal. They're much more social people, and it very much revolves around family and the dinner table and connections. And people just have more time for each other. They have more time for dinners, for lunches, for social occasions. They're much more social. In Ireland, everything's kind of rushed these days. Everyone's under pressure to make money and then to commute to their house that's far away from their job. Because the price of houses is so high, they have to buy a house far away from their job. And it's just, it's more high pressure in Ireland. And in Sicily, it's super chilled. So chilled out almost to a fault. But once you get used to it, it's fantastic. It's the way I think it's closer to the way people are meant to live. We're not meant to be working all the time under high pressure and taking short break for a sandwich. It's meant to be more human like that, where you're sitting down at the table and you're eating the local food and talking to people over a glass of wine and taking your time and having your aperitif and your 2 courses and your dessert. And it's just it's very, one of the things I noticed about Sicily as well actually is, and I said this to other people who visited Sicily, and they said it's very good for your mental health, Sicily.
Oh, yes.
And I was saying to my friend, there was 3 things I noticed about Sicily. Sicily had that helps with mental health. Now, there's a lot more to mental health than just these 3 things, but there's 3 things that Sicily has that I think helps with mental health or depression or stress and strain or anxiety. And they are good food. Good food is much better for your brain and your mood and all of that. Good food, good people. When you're out there, you meet some amazing, kind, friendly people who would restore your hope in humanity. And then the third one is beauty. One of the things I noticed about Sicily is that it's just so much more beautiful out there. They appreciate beauty, like their homes, even their tables, their dinner tables, their streets. There's so much more flowers everywhere, and people are more beauty-minded. It's uplifting just walking down the street. The streets have got character, and the buildings, like my lawyer's office, you walk into it and it's magnificent, and the squares are lovely, and the restaurants are lovely, and people's homes are lovely. It's just everywhere you look, things are beautiful, and it's very, very uplifting. Because if you live in like the crowded, built-up cities, they've got no character, no soul. And
it's also depressed.
But just in Sicily, what I love about Sicily is you could just go to any town in Sicily and wander around and explore it, and you'll find beautiful things and wonderful things to see. And experience. So that was another big difference with Sicily. I noticed that it was more beautiful, and it's got beautiful landscape as well. It's got lovely valleys and beaches, mountains, and a lot of things that you wouldn't see in Ireland. And it's very uplifting. My friends we have this little joke, you know, that when you leave Mussomeli, you get the Mussomeli blues, and it's a sort of depressive feeling when you leave and you're back to your rainy country and your job, and you're back to grey skies and processed food and the rat race, but it kind of gets you down. And then when you go back to Mussomeli, you get your lift, and you come back to your happy
place,
happy state of mind again.
I'm packing now. I'm sorry, I'm packing. I will see you there.
I'll see you there. I'll see you at the Kaleido Cafe. Do you know that place?
Yes, I know. I know almost every place is in Mussomeli. Yeah, we walked around so much, the streets and the restaurants and the cafeterias, everything. And
where did you like?
The place that we find, I'm not saying most welcoming, but they understood us over there. It was Route 66. It's a pizzeria.
That's the American bar just next to Margarita's.
Exactly. That was the place, actually, where after the tour, the house watching tour, we just went inside and we met those people who were at the tour with us, and we just pushed the tables together and we just had a dinner all together. And that was the kind of place they understood us. I mean, language-wise, they spoke English. So it was a kind of and there was one more place by the laundromat.
Okay.
A cafeteria. It's not like cafeteria. I think it was like some kind of not diner. I don't know how to. Yes.
Did it have a picture of the Godfather outside it?
Yeah. I'm sorry, say again?
Did it have a picture of the Godfather outside it?
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, okay. I think, does it have outdoor seating?
Yes.
With like wood fences around it, and then it has kind of fairy lights on it?
No, that's not the one. That's not the place.
Okay.
That's not the place. But there is a laundromat on the other side of the street, and there are buildings behind the laundromat. And you can just look over the hill with the houses from that place. If you walk across the street, across the road, then you can see the whole hill.
Okay, I must check that out. If you send me on the name of it next time I'm over, I'll pop in.
But anyway, I'm about to pack my stuff. So.
Okay.
What would you advice for people who are about the same situation like you and would like to purchase the property? What are your final tips and advices?
There's about 3 things I would recommend. One of them is decide what you want.
Okay.
How many bedrooms, balcony, terrace, stuff like that, because there's hundreds of houses out there.
Yeah.
And you get overwhelmed. So decide what you want to buy and what your budget is.
Yes.
That's the first one. Second one is get connected with local people who are trustworthy and competent to help you, because there is a temptation to just try and do it all yourself and save money. But I don't recommend that. If you just spend a little bit of money, like I did some consultancy with Laura Minton from the Amateurs Abroad, and I tell you, I had about 20 questions. She answered them all and told me a lot of other stuff.
Okay.
that I don't know, and so much time and trouble. And also, I would recommend getting like a property manager to help you if you are doing renovations.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, there is a tendency to exploit foreigners because they don't know how things operate in Sicily.
So they take advantages of people, right?
Yeah, and they can overcharge and all that. But if you have a local who will talk to them and deal with them, then you'll dodge a lot of bullets. Like I got Katerina to help me, and she knows all the builders and she knows how to deal with them. And she knows how to.
Nice.
I would recommend anyone who is thinking of buying a house there to contact her. She also does house tours. She'll show you around houses, and also to contact or to follow the Amateurs Abroad on Instagram. You'll learn a lot for free with them. And then she sometimes does a service where you can talk to her and she'll answer all your questions. And she's bought like 4 houses over there. So, and she's not a EU resident, so she's done it the more complicated way, where you have to get residency and all. She knows all the ins and outs. It's a lot easier for us Europeans. We don't have to jump through those hoops. So let me think there. So decide what you want, connect with trustworthy and competent people, and I would say finally visit Mussomeli.
Yeah, that's the most important, I guess.
Yeah, because there are some people who do buy houses without ever visiting Mussomeli. My friend does a service like that where she'll go around and she'll find a house for you and you wire her the money and she'll buy it for you. But I really think you need to know what you're getting yourself into, so I would say visit Mussomeli. And then the final one is learn Italian. It'll make the whole thing a lot smoother. And if you do stay there long term, or even just visiting there, it makes a huge difference to be able to speak Italian. The whole thing will be a lot smoother. Like you can get around, like I'm learning Italian, and I can ask for directions and I can order food and things like that. But there's some things I can't talk, and then I have to like take out the phone and do Google Translate. Like, you know, you can make it. You'll get through it. Like you can do what you're trying to do, but it's a bit thinner. It's a bit fiddly-dee. It's a bit awkward and inconvenient. So I would say those 4 things definitely to everyone is let me think, what were they again? Decide what you want, connect with trustworthy and competent people, visit Mussomeli, and learn Italian. And if you do those things, things will go smooth.
I love to hear these success stories, actually.
Yeah, it's that's kind of what inspired me. I was listening to other people's stories.
Exactly.
And I began to realize this is possible, this is doable. Because people who are watching your clips, who are thinking of moving to Mussomeli, they've probably been told they're mad. You know, I asked one of my relatives, I sent him a picture of the house, and this is 20,000. I was thinking of buying it. What do you think? And they sent me back, and that's just, you're mad. You know. So anyway, if you are thinking of buying a house in Mussomeli, you're not mad, but you do need to be careful. You need to go about it the right way. But if you do go about it the right way, you can have a success story. You can have a lovely, beautiful, cheap house in my opinion, one of the most beautiful places in Europe. I think Sicily is one of the most beautiful places in the world. I've traveled quite a bit, but I think Sicily, for me anyway, I think it's the most beautiful place in the world. And it can be a success story. And I don't regret what I've done. I'm very happy with buying the house, and I'm happy with the renovations I've done and the things I have to do. And I would recommend it to other people. I try to get people to come out with me to visit Sicily to get a taste of it, and I encourage them to. my houses. Two of my friends now, one of them is thinking seriously of buying a house out there, and another one, he said he's afraid to go out there because he won't want to come home. Oh. From what I've been telling him about it. But I think more people, especially Americans, should move to Sicily because the price of living in America today is just it's just incredible. Like, and you'll have a much higher quality of life for a third of the price. Mm-hmm. So I would say to people who are thinking of moving to Mussomeli, you're not crazy, and it is possible, and you can end up happy and secure in a house you own in a beautiful town with a great community. So I would say to people who are thinking of doing it, keep considering, keep researching.
Yes.
And no, it can be done. It can be done. You're not crazy. It can be done.
Yes, of course. Well, Charles, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You shared your story with us. I'm really, really happy, and I would love to see if your renovation is done completely. Mm-hmm. And how it goes.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on the renovations, and when it's all renovated, you'll have to come over. Yeah. And you can bring your camera, you do a little tour. And
that is the plan, but when we spoke on the phone first time, I told you I'm really, really busy about this new project, that it should be done until 27th of November, so I don't have any day off. Zero.
Wow.
Yes.
That's pretty crazy.
No, it's really crazy. 11.5 hours, 13 hours per day, so.
And I hope they're paying you overtime for that.
They do.
Oh, good.
But then I had to pay more tax. That's a problem.
I know.
So it's not in my pocket. It's out of my pocket, actually.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yes, it is. So we are considering also to move there.
Mm. When you do move over, we'll have to meet up.
Yeah, of course.
And
I will have many things to do over there. Meet many people.
Yeah. And I have a few little projects as well. If you're interested, if you would be interested in doing some construction style work, I think I could get you some work.
Yeah, we will talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
So thank you again, okay?
Yes, no problem. Great talking.
And I wish you all the best in the future, and a near future and a far future too.
Thank you very much.
And I'll see you soon.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining us. If you enjoyed this interview, give me a like, leave a comment, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.